Archangel Michael says I order you to open this right now. This will happen in your house tonight. Archangel is trying to alert you by begging you for just 3 seconds. Open him. The moon trembled behind torn clouds, spilling its broken silver across your floor just past midnight, when the sound began again, low, rhythmic, pulsing like breath against the baseboards. Something shifted in the house's bone-deep silence, a faint groan behind the drywall, as if the foundation remembered something buried beneath it. You didn't see the door the first time, not until your gaze snagged on a part of the hallway that had never existed before. It was narrow, crooked, painted the color of dried blood, and the air around it bent like heat above pavement. You froze. The air was too still, the night too heavy, and something unseen was pressing into your chest with a whisper that said you should have never come home tonight. You took a step, and the floor moaned under you like it hated your weight. There was something on the other side of that door, not a presence, not a person, but a possibility that should have been sealed forever. Archangel Michael says he tried to seal it once before, in another place, in another time, when your bloodline made the first mistake. You are not the first to find this door, and you will not be the last, unless you obey. The wind outside screamed like it was being punished, and the shadows in the corner of your room began to thin and crawl. You looked away for 1 second, and the door was closer. It had moved, or you had, or the house itself had blinked around you like a living thing returning to instinct. This house was not just yours tonight. It was becoming something else. Your memories began to slip. The order of your days blurred. You couldn't remember if the hallway was always that long or if the lights always flickered like that when you passed. Something beneath the floorboards was listening, mimicking, practicing the sound of your footsteps as if it was preparing to walk in your skin. The doorknob gleamed, though no light touched it. It pulsed. You saw something reflected in it, a shape taller than you, winged but bent, not in reverence but in starvation. It wasn't Michael. It wasn't even fallen. It was forgotten. Archangel Michael says this house contains a debt unpaid by your ancestors, and the hour of recollection is upon you. God says you were chosen to end what should have ended a generation ago, but your silence kept the wound open. Your disbelief was its invitation. You should have known when the cold crept up the walls, when your name was whispered by voices that had no throat. Behind the blood-colored door, you heard your own voice sobbing, begging for mercy, even though you hadn't spoken. That's when you understood, it already touched your future. It already found a way in. It didn't need your permission. It only needed your delay. You moved again, hands shaking, body refusing to breathe correctly, because something had taken rhythm away from the air. The clocks in the house were wrong. They moved, then stopped. Then moved again in reverse. And when you looked at your own reflection in the window, your face blinked even though your eyes were still. That door wanted you to open it. That door wanted you to choose. And that's why Michael has descended, breaking protocol, piercing veils, shouting warnings even though heaven rarely begs. He stood outside your house once before tonight, sword drawn, wings sheathed in golden flame, but you didn't see him, because you weren't ready. God says readiness is no longer an option. The decision you were avoiding is now the cost. You will lose something if you continue to pretend this night is normal. The breach has widened. You turned the doorknob in a dream once, months ago. You don't remember, but it remembers you. That's how it knows your scent, your weight, your regrets. That's why the air tastes like grief and metal. That's why your phone won't turn on. The veil has been pulled too thin here, and your home is no longer sealed. You see cracks in the ceiling. You hear murmurs from the vents. You find your name written backward in the fog on the mirror. Your pet refuses to enter your bedroom, and the floorboards near your bed are warm though no heat has run for hours. You are being circled by something that knows hunger but not mercy. It wants to be let in fully. It will ask with your voice. It will knock in a pattern that feels familiar. It will imitate joy, or need, or even love. It will say it is part of your healing. It will look like someone you miss. Archangel Michael says you must not listen, not even once. Its entry depends on your attention. The moon disappears behind clouds again, and the cold in the house sharpens. You hear the breath again, not yours, not human, just outside your bedroom door. Something is crouched. Watching. Remembering you. And when you blink this time, the blood-colored door is no longer in the hallway. It is in your room. The wall bent to bring it closer. Time surrendered to its urgency. Michael says this will happen tonight. Not tomorrow. Not in metaphor. It is real, and it has begun. If you do nothing, it will continue. If you open it, it will finish. But if you choose resistance, you may survive long enough to see what waits at the center. The lights shudder and die. And still the door waits, silent, hungry, patient. You wake to silence, but it isn't the silence of peace, it's the kind that listens, breathes, and mimics. The kind that changes shape the moment you notice it. You try to tell yourself you only dreamt the door, but the hallway still smells like burnt roses and metal, and your own reflection is moving slower than you are. The bathroom mirror is the worst. It fogs in shapes, not steam. The pattern is deliberate. You wipe it away, but it returns, and this time there are words etched into it, your name, again, this time followed by one you haven't spoken aloud in years. The one who left. The one who betrayed you. The one who has been feeding the thing behind that door without knowing. God says the greatest danger to your soul will never be a stranger. The betrayal comes wrapped in memory, coated in shared laughter, disguised as someone who once held your hand. Archangel Michael says this house was compromised long before you were aware of it, because someone you love gave the enemy their invitation in a moment of desperation. You see their face now. The way they looked when they warned you, when they whispered that the house felt wrong, when their voice shook just slightly too much. They knew. They knew. And they didn't tell you because the thing behind the door promised to fix something broken in them. You find yourself pacing without memory of standing up. The floor creaks in places it never used to. Every step feels mapped, choreographed, like you're retracing someone else's steps, a rehearsal of damnation. You hear your name whispered again, this time from the mirror. The voice is soft. Familiar. But when you lean in, your reflection doesn't move with you. It smiles. You don't. The power flickers again, and in that half-second blackout, you see the reflection standing behind you. Tall. Thin. Wings of ash. Its fingers on your shoulder, though you feel nothing. It disappears when the light returns, but the warmth of its breath stays. There is something in this house feeding off your confusion, growing stronger every time you deny what's happening. Your memories begin to glitch. You remember a room that no longer exists. A childhood photo you don't own anymore sitting on your nightstand. A music box that stopped working years ago now playing softly from under your bed. You are not alone in your home tonight. You are not even the only you in it. Michael says there is a counterfeit version of your life playing itself out beside you, barely out of view, and if you listen too long to the voices in the mirror, you'll start to believe it's real. That's how the shadow enters. Not with force, but with suggestion. With echo. You begin to remember arguments that never happened. Words someone never said, but you feel them in your chest like bruises. This is how the invasion completes itself, by turning memory into weapon. By making you doubt your own story. By slipping into the seams of your mind like smoke through an attic door. God says your awareness is your weapon now. You must not fall asleep again tonight. You must not answer if the phone rings. You must not speak the name that keeps forming on your lips. The one you hear in dreams. The one the voice behind the mirror begs you to repeat. You find yourself drawn to a box under your bed. One you haven't opened in years. One that belonged to the person who let the shadow in. Inside, a note in your handwriting that you never wrote. A feather from no bird. A scrap of cloth that smells like smoke and wine and dust. The betrayal wasn't loud. It was soft. A wish whispered into the walls. A deal struck with something ancient. And the moment it was made, this house stopped being a sanctuary and became a sanctuary trap. Everything since then has been a slow spiral toward this moment. The voice behind the mirror offers you answers now. It tells you the name of the thing. It tells you who will knock next. It tells you the date it was promised your soul in trade for someone else's safety. You cover your ears, but the voice isn't coming from outside. It's leaking from inside the walls of your own thoughts. Your house grows colder, but the heat doesn't vanish, it's redirected. Drawn toward a single point beneath the floorboards in the guest room. You step in, and the room inhales. That's the only word for it. The air is pulled inward, like lungs expanding in anticipation. The walls are breathing. The mirror in this room is shattered, but each shard reflects a different moment of your life. In one, you're holding hands with someone who should be gone. In another, you're asleep while something crawls along your ceiling. In another still, you're standing exactly where you are, but the version of you in the mirror looks up and mouths, "It's too late." Archangel Michael says there is one final window to act. One breath, one heartbeat between you and full transfiguration. Your soul cannot stay split. The voice behind the mirror is about to ask you for a choice. And it will ask using someone else's voice. You fall to your knees. You feel the air thicken. You hear every door in the house unlock at once. The presence is no longer hiding. It is arriving. It is claiming space. It is stepping through the membrane between possibility and dominion. You crawl from the room. You reach for the wall. You leave blood behind, though you don't remember being cut. The air howls again, not wind, not weather, but sound bent around the scream of a thing finally waking. You reach the stairs. You look down. The figure at the bottom isn't human. But it's wearing the face of someone who should be dead. It looks up. And smiles. God says you must not believe what it shows you next. Michael says you still have a weapon. But you must find it before the floor beneath your feet forgets it ever supported you. You close your eyes. And the voice behind the mirror whispers, "Say yes." The house is no longer a house. The stairs you climbed 100 times feel foreign beneath your hands as you drag yourself up them, away from the smile that isn't human, the smile that wears a memory like skin. You don't hear footsteps, but you feel pursuit, something brushing at the edge of your reality, whispering through floorboards and walls like heat building before a rupture. The hallway lights flare once and die, plunging everything into a soft, red glow that leaks from beneath doors like blood remembering which way to flow. You don't know which door leads to safety anymore. Each one pulses like a heartbeat. The walls breathe with the rhythm of something vast and starved and ancient pulling closer. Something cracks under your foot. Not the floor, time. For one breathless moment, the air around you bends, and you see overlapping images of your hallway, some burned, some upside down, some filled with people who don't move but are staring at you. In one version, your body is already gone. In another, it's standing at the door, hand on the knob, smiling back at you. Archangel Michael says this is the moment. The crossroads where the echo tries to override the original. You must choose the thread of your true path or be replaced by what's rehearsing your destruction. You find yourself in the living room, though you don't remember walking there. Everything is wrong. The walls are closer than they should be, the ceiling too low. The photos are blurred, faces scratched out, except one. The betrayer. Smiling. Framed in gold. The fire starts beneath your feet. Not flames, not yet, just heat, coiled like a waiting viper beneath the wooden boards. You feel it rise. The sound is like breathing and breaking at once. The house wants to burn. It wants release. But not all fires purify, some simply feed. God says you must find the holy object left for you. It is not hidden. It is chosen. You will know it not by sight, but by how the room resists when you draw near. The room with the oldest shadows. The one that smells like silence and scorched paper. You push the door open, and heat hits you like a memory of war. The room is empty, except for a single item glowing on the floor in the center. It is covered in ash. You reach for it, but the shadows lunge. You are not alone. The floorboards beneath your feet splinter outward, and something tries to drag you through. You fight. You scream. You bleed. The air tears open with sound. And then, wings. Michael arrives without warning. The air bends away from him, collapsing like metal under pressure. His sword is drawn. His eyes are fire. His voice is not sound, it is judgment carved into the marrow of the house. Everything trembles. Even the shadows. Archangel Michael says you must stand. That the war within your walls is not between you and the darkness, but between your will and your surrender. He cannot fight what you invite. He can only burn what you renounce. The sword glows. The floor cracks open. A scream echoes from beneath, not yours, not human. It is the voice of something that has waited too long in silence, fed too long on your doubt, and now claws its way to the surface. You snatch the object. It's hot. Heavy. It hums in your hand like a pulse not your own. The room shakes. The fire bursts from beneath. And the figure from the mirror is at the door again, eyes like empty sky, mouth open, voice pouring out in your voice, saying everything you've ever wanted to hear. Michael moves between you. His wings unfurl. The sword strikes. Light floods the room, blinding, absolute, holy. The scream that follows is not just pain. It's memory being unraveled. It's all the lies the darkness built inside your mind being flayed apart. You fall to your knees. You hear your own name said the right way. The way only heaven remembers. And then silence. Thick. Sacred. Still. The fire retreats. The object in your hand cools. The walls exhale. The house begins to return. Michael turns to you. His face unreadable. His presence still too much for your body to hold. But in that unbearable light, you feel something else, approval. He does not speak. He doesn't need to. God says you made the right choice, even though it cost you everything familiar. But Michael also warns, the shadow was not alone. The breach was wider than expected. And though this house has been reclaimed, not every room is clean. You begin to stand. But the house shifts again. And you remember, there is still one door left unopened. The one in the basement. The one they said was sealed forever. The one you swore never to touch. And now, it's open. The basement door is open. No sound, no creak, no groan of hinges, just a yawning blackness at the bottom of the stairs like a hole chewed through the world. You feel it before you see it, the presence waiting below, heavier than gravity, hungrier than silence, aware of your every trembling step toward its final invitation. The house is still again. Too still. A kind of unnatural pause, like time itself is holding its breath. The light above you flickers once, then steadies, as if even electricity fears to die here. The air turns sharp, metallic, whispering with every breath, "Do not go down. Do not go down. Do not go down." But it's too late. You already are. The stairs bend under your weight, not in protest, but in welcome. You count 12 steps, but you've only gone down 5. Something shifts. The walls narrow. The space elongates. This is no longer your house's basement. This is its root, its core, its wound. Archangel Michael says this is where the original breach was born. The contract was written here, not with ink, not with blood, but with agreement. Someone in your line gave permission, and the shadow carved a throne in the dark. You reached the bottom. No walls. No ceiling. Just open, breathing dark. And in the center, a throne made of mirrors. It reflects not just your face, but your failures, your weakness, your unsaid prayers, your silent nights of doubt. You move, and it moves with you. A perfect mimic. A promise of self-rule if you simply bow. You hear your own voice again, speaking from its depths. It says everything you want to believe. That none of this is real. That the pain is over. That you've already passed the test. God says that voice is the final lie. You step closer, and the throne changes. It becomes your childhood home. Then the face of a loved one. Then your greatest fear. Then a door. The door. The one from the hallway, but bigger now. Hungrier. Beating like a heart. You blink. And now it's your own face staring back. Smiling. Archangel Michael says this is the final choice. The entity will not plead again. It will not knock. It will offer. And if you hesitate now, your body will remain standing, but your soul will be evicted. The air thickens. The light from upstairs does not follow you. There is only one flame left, hovering in the center of the room, a small ember suspended above the mirror throne. It pulses with truth. Not comfort. Not safety. Just truth. The darkness hates it. It recoils. And now the shadows scream. They pour from the corners of the basement, limbs and teeth and whispers and ash. They become the voices of those you failed. The moments you hated yourself. They climb the walls. They reach for you. They call you liar, traitor, coward, broken. You fall to your knees, covering your ears. But the flame remains. It hovers still, untouched, unafraid, unwavering. Michael is near. You feel him, though you do not see. His presence is not warmth. It is pressure. A reminder. A divine gaze that burns away illusion. And in that fire, you remember, you are not powerless. You are not forsaken. You are not food. You rise. You reach for the flame. And the mirror throne shatters with a scream not made of sound, but meaning. Every image vanishes. Every false voice is silenced. The shadows retreat like smoke fleeing light. The basement walls return. The world rights itself, but not gently. It snaps back. You stumble to your knees again, but this time the air is clean. The heaviness is gone. Your heartbeat is your own. Michael speaks. You hear only part of it, too holy, too vast, but enough to understand. The enemy is wounded, but not gone. The door is closed, but not destroyed. There will be other houses, other names, other nights. But this one is over. The light surges one final time, brighter than a sun, yet soft as rain. Then silence. Then peace. And the door, the true door, the one the darkness used, is no longer anywhere in the house. You searched for it, but the wall is solid. The floor is whole. Even the mirrors are clear now. The house exhales. It is yours again. But only because you took it back.